Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Howdy y'all, or I should say howdy all y'all, because this is a much wider audience than I ever expected. As I'm looking at each week's viewers, I'm truly amazed at how well this show and other ones that I do are performing. This is Talking Heads. It's a chance where I have to connect with my audience on various topics that I think are of interest from a health and wellness perspective. Today's show is on nutrition, although the label that you may see may say sleep. We're working out some little minor tweaks, but we'll get that all fixed. For several months in the last year, I had shingles, and it just literally stole about 5 months of my life from me. And one of the things I was doing prior to shingles was a 72-hour fast every month. I've been doing it for 2-3 years, all through COVID anyway. But I had learned that from Dr. Walter Longo at University of California, Santa Barbara, anyway, UCLA. He came up with this program that if you fast 72 hours, it basically rebuilds your immune system. Okay, that made a lot of sense. And I started doing it. I found out, well, 72 is pretty easy, 100 is pretty easy, 120 is easy, 150 is easy. I even did a couple 200 plus. But I'm doing it and I didn't understand why in total. And then I started studying autophagy, which starts at about 18 hours of fasting and maximizes about 72 hours. So what Dr. Longo was saying is that the autophagy process cleans up the body, rebuilds the immune system, but it takes about 72 hours for it to be a fully effective program. Well, for whatever reasons, during shingles, I just had no mind control to do anything. So shingles is over, boom, can't get it done, can't get it done, can't get it. So all of a sudden, I don't care no matter what it's happening. And so I started, and right now I'm a little over 87 hours into my current fast. And my plan is to probably go ahead and have something to eat today, but that can change. It's one of those very flexible things. So let me go ahead and load up the slides and get started for today. There we go. Am I not seeing any slides? Okay, I had slides on there earlier. Where are they at? They're there. Okay, and there they are. Okay, I'm having problems today. Well, let me pretend like I know what I'm doing until we get that particular problem solved. So today's the 30th. What would I do? And we're talking about the topic of nutrition. We're live streaming on Amazon Fire, on Zizzle TV, on E360 TV, on YouTube, Android TV, Apple TV, social media sites. And my program is primarily for awareness and education. That is what this whole thing is set up for. And if you're looking at my slides, which hopefully we'll be able to see here shortly, the second slide talks about where all of my live shows are at as far as being able to click on a link for the archive shows for this particular one, Talking Heads. And then I also have simulcasts on my Facebook author page and my Facebook personal page. And then as my website is getting updated, they keep telling me every week it's ready to go, it's ready to go, but it's not. But I'll have a place on there that will archive all of the video shows I'm doing. So as a disclaimer, and I don't know why I can't get that. Let me see here. Let me make a look. Just do that, see if that helps a little bit. I'm a researcher. Here we go. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go there. Those are my links that I talked about just a moment ago. This is my disclaimer. I'm a researcher. Never been in the medical pharmaceutical fields of my life. I love chemistry. I got my first degree in it. I got 5 academic degrees. Ironically, all in different subjects, 7 professional certifications. I'm a retired Navy captain, 31 plus years, been to 61 countries. I study, research, and want to know the cause and effect relationships that happen in our body that cause disease and what we can do about it. We treat the cause, we have a decent chance of fixing the problem. But if we treat the symptoms, we have no chance at all of fixing the problem. Been married for 56 years, 2 kids, 3 grandkids, and my first great-grandson's birthday was last week. Best-selling author, written 8 books. I'm an independent publisher. I've published over 40 books for other authors. I'm a distinguished Toastmaster. I've written over 1,000 original content articles on LinkedIn. And as I said earlier, this information is for educational purposes only. And I'm honored that on my show called The Wise Ones on the USA Global TV and Radio Network, as a host last year for 2024, I came in 2nd and 6th place on the total number of views. So that blew me away. I wasn't aware of that. I have a thing that we're following. I started a couple months, actually November, started early on New Year's resolutions. And my primary thing was visceral fat. That's where I want to concentrate on. A couple other, but I had 3 topics. But let's just go ahead and look at what's there. So I started out 195.3 pounds. Last week, I lost 0.1 pounds. Might as well say I didn't lose anything. But I've been up and down. Now, all of a sudden, I'm focused with this ability to fast and be control of what I eat and drink. So since Monday, I've lost 4.9 pounds. That's not too bad. My BMI, basal BMI, is a measurement of how much body fat you have. I'm really not a fan of it, but it's one of those things that's out there. Anything between 25 and 30, according to their system, is overweight, and we'll talk about that later today. Last week I had come down 0.3. This week come down 0.8. Body fat last week down 0.2. This week down 0.6. Subcutaneous fat, no change last week, down 0.4. Visceral fat, the one I'm really concentrating on. Last week I was at 12.3, no change from the week before, or actually from the beginning. This week I'm down 0.5.
When we speak, we don't hear. It's abundantly clear. Listening lazy creeping, and nobody's gonna win. Look someone in the eye. If you don't, they surely will cry. You don't hear a word I say, 'cause you always look straight away. Listening lazies drive people crazy. Listening lazies making us blue. Listening lazies, communication goes hazy. Listening lazies, listening lazies. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Listening lazies drive people crazy. Listening lazies making us blue. Listening lazies, communication goes hazy. Listening lazies, listening lazies. When you interrupt your friend, you will surely have to make amends. Lady Ella knows the way to help you listen better every day. And what's that? It's listening lazy. Ba-dum-ba-ba. Listening lazy, driving the crazy. Listening lazy, making us blue. Listening lazy, communication goes hazy. Listening lazy, listening lazy. Listening lazy, driving the crazy. Listening lazy, making us blue. Listening lazy, communication goes hazy. Listening lazy, listening lazy, listening lazy.
5 little-known secrets for dementia caregivers with Tracy Cram-Perkins.
Hi there, I am Tracy Cram-Perkins, the host of the Dementia Home Care Show here on USA Global TV and Radio. I am also the author of the book of the same name. And you'll see this QR code. This is for an extended version of the same talk. So if you want to see the full hour-long version, feel free to scan the code and go to that website. Stick with me. We'll talk about 5 little-known secrets to make it a little easier to do dementia caregiving. What you're seeing on the left-hand side is a healthy aged brain, age 55 and above. The one you're seeing on the right is an Alzheimer's disease brain. It is in moderate disease. It is shrinking. It has holes in it. The memories that were in those holes no longer exist. When you're learning something, let's say in kindergarten, you learn how to tie your shoelace. Well, then by the time you're in 2nd grade, your brain remembers that information from tying the shoelace and applies it so you can learn more quickly how to tie more complex knots. So the brain is hardwired to do this for us. So it helps us learn faster so it doesn't take us long to acquire knowledge. The brain is looking for the information and they pick the closest to wherever that hole is. Let's look at some tips that we can use to help do that.
These are 5 simple tools you can use as a dementia caregiver to help your loved one. The whiteboard is a useful tool in recording the day's activities and the answers to repetitive questions. The calendar clock is a very useful tool to orient your loved one on the day, the date, and the time, and remind them of upcoming appointments. The communication cards are a great tool to bridge the gap when they can no longer tell you what's wrong. And then there's the pill minder for when your loved one is still able to take pills but needs prompting. The final tool I want to share with you is the memory book. It tells your loved one's story. It's a great tool for distraction, redirection, also as a conversation starter, and telling you where they are in their story so you know how to answer their questions.
Music is probably the most powerful tool in your toolbox after laughter. Music is a way to maintain connection. It sticks with your brain longer than any other thing, including reading. When you're having an issue with somebody, you can play their favorite music if you move them to another room, something that makes them happy, or you can start singing songs together from their childhood. These are some of my favorite books for caregivers. My show airs on the 3rd Tuesday of every month, and you can view past episodes on YouTube. Thank you, everyone.
This program has been brought to you in part by Tracy Cram-Perkins. Connect with her and order her book at tracycramperkins.com. For more information about Alzheimer's disease, support resources, and how you can help, contact the Alzheimer's Association at 1-800-272-3900 or visit their website at www.alz.org. They offer 24/7 helpline support and a wealth of information to assist you and your loved ones.
We're back again. Thank you very much. We're talking about Alka-Seltzer, and let me get over here to the right page. Okay. I can't believe I ate the whole thing, and we do that. We ignore labels. We eat the foods we like. We don't know what we're eating sometimes from a nutritional perspective, and likewise, we don't know what we're missing, and that becomes very critical when you're trying to balance your nutrition. We're going to talk about that in a lot of details. So, a definition of nutrition, they're just saying foods eaten to maintain a healthy body, but it's more than that. It's part of the food you choose, the food you actually eat, the way it's prepared, the nutrients that are in the food, and those nutrients have to be able to support the gut because that's where your digestion happens. So we get the digestion, the nutrients, and they enters the bloodstream. So I can have foods that don't have good quality nutrients or missing. I can get it into my body, into my gut. I don't have the right flora and fauna in my gut in order to do what needs to happen. And I could have a challenged immune system that is letting a lot of other stuff into my bloodstream. So I have to make the right choices in order to have good health all the way around. Uh, it's also about growth and survival. If I don't have the nutrients, I can't grow. From a baby all the way up to an adult, you need to have certain things happen. Certain hormones need to work right. They need specific chemicals in order to do that. Magnesium, I think, is needed in over 300 places in the body. So is vitamin D3. If we're not getting those in the right quantity, things are not happening. We also need some non-nutrients too. They don't have a nutritional value. For instance, water is not a nutrient, but it's needed. Fiber, it's not a nutrient, but it's really needed in the gut. So my goal, my health goal, is balanced nutrition, and we're going to talk about how we can achieve that. Okay. Nutrients. These are the foods that provide fuel. In other words, I eat something, it gets through my body into my bloodstream, and these chemicals, these molecules provide the fuel to make my gallbladder work, my heart, my brain, kidneys. Everything is working based on the nutritional particle dump in the different organs based on my blood supply. So I have good blood flow. It's going around everywhere. If I have all the nutrients that I need, balanced nutrition, everything. Now, if you look up balanced nutrition, they're going to talk about it should include 7 things: carbs, proteins, fat, fiber, vitamins, water, and minerals. I don't know of any absolute essential carb that's out there, although we get a lot of good carbs in some of the green and colored vegetables that we eat, fruits, but it's not enough to be an issue. And I'm going to talk a little bit about carbs and the insulin response, because to have a balanced diet, you really don't need the carbs that we think of carbs as rice and potatoes and pasta and cakes and everything else that's in that general area. But a balanced diet is used almost synonymously with balanced nutrition, and it's pretty close. There's a couple minor things, but certainly not worth any discussion here. Where do we get our nutritional advice? Where do we say, when do we need to eat what and when? Well, part of it comes on where you live, your family, your culture. If you look at Eastern thought versus Western thought for breakfast, you hear in America and other places, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But Eastern philosophy says, I don't care whether you have breakfast or not. It's not that important. But when you go far enough back, it's follow the money. Why do we have breakfast? Well, back a long time ago when people were up at 4 a.m. and going out and working until noon, you needed to have that extra food and energy. But nowadays we wake up, have a cup of coffee, drive to work. We really are not taxed physically, but somewhere along the way, we got this thing, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and people have that ingrained in them. But that's Western thought. That's not Eastern thought. Caloric restriction. If you put animals on a 30% less calorie diet, they're generally healthier, they live longer, they have less disease. We came out with a food pyramid that at the top they have things, and at the bottom. But if you look at it from a sense of what is really what I need for my body, there's some parts of it just don't make sense. Of course, the FDA is involved. The government's there to help you. We don't talk about the toxins that's in almost all the foods and skincare products that we have. But again, follow the money. The obesity epidemic in the United States didn't start until 1976, when we had this thing called ultra processed foods. And when you start going down that pathway, things happen. In 1976, we had a little over 8% of Americans 20 to 74 years of age that were considered obese. They used the BMI, anything over 30 was obese. Anything 25 to 30 was overweight. But I don't like BMI. BMI was originally set up from insurance companies to look at groups of people, not individuals. and you can take a look at two people, same height, same weight, depending on who they are and what they do. They can have totally different BMI readings. But nowadays they're starting to look at how should I really measure fat and obesity, and there's a number of factors going into it. 76, 8%, 2000, 31%. And then we started adding the term morbidly obese because now we're way beyond whatever we had been looking at before. Today, we're looking at about 42%. And is all of this due to nutrition? A fair amount of it, because a lot of the diseases associated with nutrition and even getting into obesity do come from some aspect of eating too much, a nutritional issue, or having deficiencies in things that we really need. But when I look at obesity, what other things are there? Well, it could be genes. Yeah. But in reality, that's probably 5, maybe 8% on the top end. Medications, our age, our any eating disorders that might be out there, lifestyle choices, exercise, stress, diet, sleep. Pregnancy and menopause can add a lot of weight. Toxins, mental health, the microbiota in your gut. Lots of things contribute to obesity, but a lot of those things have some level of influence from nutrition. So if I look at obesity, probably the easiest way for me to visualize it is it's an energy imbalance. I'm bringing in more fuel than I can burn, more calories than my body can consume. So I have that extra calories that are tied up because of my insulin response to the blood sugar. And okay, I got all this extra blood sugar. So I store it in fat cells. It's more of it. I store more of it. And it becomes over time just a lot more fat being stored. If you look at your gut, where a lot of people have an extra couple, 3 or 4 or 5 inches, a lot of that is due to stress, because stress causes the fat to be accumulated there about 4 times more than any other part of the body. Calcium, we're not getting enough calcium deficiency, brittle bone. But again, it takes decades to get there. Iron deficiency, I see 1 or 2 people a year with goiter, but it's something that happens, shouldn't, but it is. Iron deficiency, anemia, more people than not have it. They have no concept they have it. Zinc deficiency, I'm only just picking a couple of these. I could go down the list, but for having a brief overview, if I'm deficient in zinc, it usually affects the growth disorder, particularly in young ones. B12 deficiency, neurological issues, it mimics Alzheimer's. Vitamin C deficiency, we've heard about scurvy, not really a big thing today. Vitamin D deficiency, so many factors in there, but probably one of the bigger ones is osteoporosis, that brittle bone. Vitamin A deficiency, night blindness. Vitamin K deficiency, a lot of blood clotting issues. And even that can be a problem with some of you can have vitamin K, but not being able to use it because it interferes with blood thinners. So the whole thing balances out to, am I eating the right quantity of the right foods? And timing is an issue. I can eat, let's say, 2,000 calories a day. If I eat them all in 1 hour versus spreading them out over 6 meals, I'm going to gain weight if I spread them out over 6 meals. If I have them just 1 time a day, I'm not, because the body processes it. I think one of the worst cases of nutritional guidance is, have 4, 5, or 6 small meals a day. Well, that spikes your blood sugar, and you keep that way up, and it just never has a chance to go down. So you're constantly fighting insulin and blood sugar, and you end up with more than you need. It pumps more fat into the fat cells. But if I'm able to get just the right amount that my body needs, I'm not producing that extra fat. If I eat the right kinds of foods where I can change my fuel source from blood sugar to ketones to fat, then you're starting to use some of that fat that's been stored. So we look at the food variety, the moderation, calories, the mixture of carbs, proteins, and fats. Now, the experts say 55% carbs, proteins at 25 and fats at 20. If you look at a ketogenic diet, that fats goes way up over 60, 70%. Proteins probably stay down a little bit less than that, and carbs are almost non-existent. Now, a lot of good and bad in that. We'll talk about that in more detail. So basically, I disagree with that 55% carbs. I don't know of any essential carb I have to have in order to be healthy. Now, I will get my carbs from my spinach and other blueberries and things like that, but not what I need. I've talked about Dr. Terry Walls many times on my shows. Dr. Terry Walls is an internist. She's still alive today. Late in her career, she came down with multiple sclerosis. No matter what the doctors did, it got worse and worse. She finally ended up in a wheelchair for a few years. She did a study of autoimmune diseases, of which multiple sclerosis is one of well over 100. She came up with this thing called a protocol. It's 4 different parts. I'm only going to talk about the diet part today. And why it's important to me is when my wife was going through chemo for breast cancer, I could address most of the side effects of the medicines, the chemo that was going on. But fatigue was one I could not address at all, just no ability. I read the book, her Walls Protocol, between chemo and radiation. We extended it an extra couple of weeks to have her recover more fully from chemo. I put her on the Walls Protocol. Her radiologist said her fatigue would probably get worse. She was taking 2 or 3 2-hour naps a day, not eating, just very phlegmatic. I put her on that in 48 hours. She's perky as could be. A couple of days later, she volunteered to go back up to the church. By the end of radiation, the last day we left the radiation facility, got in the car and drove to Jacksonville, Florida. From Houston, that's about 1,000 miles. And I rented a U-Haul, took my parents' estate stuff back. She followed me 500 miles each day by herself in the car, 48 hours after her last radiation treatment. Why? Because Dr. Terry Walls' protocol on the diet covers about 31, 32 nutrients the body needs every day. And so from her story, Dr. Terry's story, I'm thinking, whoa, that is really impressive. Just a diet makes those kind of changes. I was blown away. I was on a low carb diet for Atkins for a number of years, lost a lot of weight, a lot of inches, was happy as could be. My endurance was not great, but what I didn't understand was that my pH of my body, because I was eating only fats and proteins, very little veggies and fruits, my body pH was very low, very acidic. And as such, it was leaching calcium from my bones into my bloodstream to maintain a normal pH for my bloodstream. Well, I'd been a weightlifter for years, a runner forever, it seemed like. And all of a sudden, I went on this low carb diet. I couldn't run. I could run an hour and a half, 2 hours without even thinking almost every night. But on this, I could barely make 2 miles. I had no endurance. And so part of my program is I read a bunch of books, 5 or 6 on Atkins. I can do this. Well, there's issues there. And when you start making dietary changes and lifestyle changes, extra exercise, whatever, stress management, there are a lot of things that should be taken into consideration. So we end up adding weight, and part of it's because of the nutrition. We're getting too much of the wrong thing. We're getting not enough of other things. We have a habit. If it tastes good, we're not going to put it down. And if we start thinking, I'm not going to have a second helping, our brain processes that because it doesn't understand a negative. So it hears, I'm going to have a second helping. Well, our subconscious mind hears that. Oh, let's go back for seconds or thirds. You go to these places, all you can eat. For whatever reason, we pile it on the plate. You know, I personally, many years ago, I switched over to a solid plate for dinner. And whatever I can put on that plate one time, that's it. So if I go into a restaurant, I realize it's one time only, that's it, boom. I also have a problem with nutrition because the quantity and preparation of foods that I get in restaurant. I've talked to many restaurant owners. I said, how about taking half of the food, charging 60%, 70%, call it an adult's meal or whatever, because the restaurant foods just overload you on food. I'm not complaining about the prices, but there's just so much there. So I go to a place, I may have 2 or 3 meals because I plan accordingly. Okay, I'm going to eat this much on the plate, take the rest of it home, split it in half, and have it tomorrow or the next day. Plus, sometimes the preparation can be a problem with the way the nutrition is done. If I have a lot of advanced glycation end products, AGEs, that can affect things. So what would I do? Okay, this is kind of where we're all set up. I would have a diet that has more fruits and veggies. This is right down the road of the Walls Protocol. I thought I had a slide on that. I may. If not, I'll come back and cover it. very low carbohydrates. Whatever carbohydrates you're getting is from fruits and vegetables. Now, the fruits they're talking about are fruits that you have the same color going all the way through. In other words, a blueberry is blue all the way through. Raspberry is red all the way through. Lettuce is green all the way through. But a eggplant is dark on the outside, not the same color all the way through. So if my choice in foods is more fruits and vegetables, but I choose foods that have the color that go all the way through them, the chances are I'm going to get a lot more phytonutrients, a lot more benefit from those non-minerals and vitamins that my body also needs. Very low carbohydrates, protein. Again, we're down to quality and moderation. I buy almost everything I eat organic. But I also notice that I'm not eating as much because I don't need as much. If I prepare the food by frying, which I rarely do, maybe once or twice a year, that adds a problem that's not necessarily an issue, but it affects my body's ability to process things. So anything I'm doing that stops, hinders, interferes with my body's processing of digested molecules, I may have a problem. And the fats, again, quality and moderation. I think I have up here on, okay, I know I have a place on omega-3s and omega-6. People ask me a question, what about if I get my supplements from a bottle? Well, they do this thing called the RDA, the recommended daily allowance. Okay. If I look at the Wall's protocol, it's over 30 nutrients the body needs every day because it's all coming from food. But not only that, if I'm eating the quantities that they're telling me to eat, it's 10 times what the RDA is. Why? Because the body is not absorbing as much as it did 50, 60, 80 years ago when you had a lot more vitamins and minerals in the foods you were eating. So if you get 5 or 10 times what you need, the body's actually accommodating to what it really needs. And that's one of the reasons I think the Wall's protocol is so good. So we look at what are Americans deficient in? Well, for sure, D, E, A, zinc, and many, many more. I found an article that said 92% of Americans are deficient in one or more nutrient, 94% in vitamin D, 88% in vitamin E, 52% magnesium, 44% calcium, 42 in vitamin A, 39 in vitamin C, and many, many more. So it's just we're super deficient because we don't know what we're eating or it's processed a certain way. We have these things called essential fatty acids, omega-3 and omega-6. Omega-3s typically come from a fatty fish. Omega-6s come from vegetable oils. So if I have a sunflower, safflower oil or something like that, yeah, they're essential. I need them. They're omega-6, but I don't need them in the quantity that they're in the American diet. The standard American diet will run 20, 30, 40 to 1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3. We're not eating hardly any omega-3, but we're eating a lot of omega-6. Well, it should be an ideal world 1-to-1 ratio. But if you get beyond that omega-6 to omega-3 ratio that's 4-to-1, it becomes inflammatory. Now we start increasing the inflammation in the body, left unchecked. Now we're starting to get to oxidative stress, starts to affect a lot of things. Okay, we also have nutritional deficiencies in vitamin K2. I already mentioned D3, calcium. B12 is a kind of a weird one. It's if you're a vegan or vegetarian and you're not getting any meat, it's very, very, very hard to get the right B12. And it has as I mentioned, I believe, to mimic Alzheimer's over time. Vitamin E, they give you one synthetic one that's in your supplement, but there's 8 total, and you really need them all. And there's a slew of B vitamins. So what you see is not necessarily what you need, because if I'm starting to get synthetic vitamins, that's not the real thing. If I look at, for instance, vitamin D, well, the people that set the rules and regulations say you need 600, 800 IUs a day. I can tell you right now, that's not even close. Way back when I became interested in this, I was having my blood tested fairly often. And so vitamin D is one of those things that, well, let me test it. Now, vitamin D, min and max, as far as what is good for health, has changed over the last few decades. And what used to be acceptable isn't anymore. So today you need at least 50 nanograms per milliliter. I try to keep mine above 80, or in most cases above 100. In the last 2 or 3 or 4 blood tests I've had, they've been in that 95, 105, 108 degree range. It keeps your body well prepared for disease and everything else. So it's one of those things you need. But if you're only getting 800, you can't bump that up at all. In fact, I went ahead and I bumped mine up to 2,000, got a blood test, bumped it up to 5,000, bumped it up to 10,000. So for me, during the winter, I take 20,000 IUs a day. During the summer, 10,000 IUs a day. And I keep my general level up around 100 to 90. Vitamin E, they only give you alpha tocopherol as a synthetic. But in reality, you need the 4-tocopherols and the 4-tocotrienols as natural ingredients. Alpha tocotrienol is really linked with preventing any kind of stroke symptoms afterwards. It prevents neural cell death. So you have the ability of your brain to shift pathways when there's a blockage. Okay, see here. So let's start wrapping things up here. We've got just a couple of minutes left. So what does your body really need? Well, if you don't know what you're eating, you don't know what you're missing, the first thing you need to do is to figure out, what am I missing? That's what I need to get. I don't eat enough stuff that has vitamin K2 per se, so I supplement with vitamin K2. I don't get all 8 parts of vitamin E. I supplement with vitamin E. I can't get enough sunlight, especially being a redhead, that it makes a difference, so I supplement with vitamin D3. So there's some things that I supplement with, but I need to know what they are. Where is it available? Is it part of the food preparation? What's going on? So food is only one part of the equation. If I don't have good gut health, I'm not going to get the digestion nutrients that I need. The supplements help, but they're not the solution. So who do you trust? Well, that's part of your job in life is, well, I'm reading this. I like that person. I like this article. This is a good book. That's a good program on YouTube. Find somebody you trust and somebody who seems to have a lot of credibility. There's a lot of other nutrients listed. Google phytonutrients, you'll get a dozen or more than a dozen. But anything that has colors in it, that's your phytonutrients. Tea, coffee, have different aspects of these phytonutrients that are extremely helpful to the body. Dark chocolate, they found out, helps us rebuild stem cells, especially cardiac stem cells, which not that many years ago they said we can't make stem cells for cardiac replacement. But it is what it is, and the more you learn, the more we are able to share. So my best advice is, what would I do? I would eat foods versus supplements, but know what you need to supplement so you can get it. Read labels so you understand what you're getting. Go ahead and look at the caloric restriction. If you go over to fruits and vegetables and a little bit of protein, a little bit of fat, you're probably going to be in that caloric restriction end of things, at least less than what you need according to a nutritionist. Fasting is critical. Like I said, I've got 87 and a half hours right now into my current fast. Only unsweet iced tea and water. That's it. That's all I have. And my autophagy now is maxed out at 100%. So I should be getting a lot of stuff cleaned up and recycled in my body. So if you know what you're missing, boom, you can develop a good plan to get balanced nutrition and improve your health. So with that being said, Red O'Laughlin, I can be reached at red.olaughlin, red@red.olaughlin.com. O'Laughlin is spelled OLAUGHLIN. So red.olaughlin.com is my website. An email address to reach me is red@red.olaughlin.com. I usually check that once or twice a day, but I'm constantly checking my Gmail account. So that's red.olaughlin@gmail.com. I research the human body. I write books. I study things. I speak on them just like I'm doing today. So I have a lot of books out there. The one that I talked about today is The Joy of Ageless Health. It can be found on my website. It can be found on Amazon. The Longevity Secrets for Healthy Aging talks about two of many primary causes of aging. I'm probably going to update that book and add another 10 or 12 causes of aging. I wrote 40 plus articles on Alzheimer's, what causes it, what you can do about it. That's that one there. My latest book just came out literally within the last month, called Failure is Not an Option. So I get a chance, go to my website and you can find my books, or go to amazon.com and go from there. So today's Talking Heads is concluding. I'll catch you all next week. Take care, y'all. Bye now.
Ever dreamed of hosting your own TV show, sharing your story with a global audience? Now's your chance to shine. At USA Global TV and Radio, we make it easy for you to create, host and broadcast your very own TV show. Whether you're a storyteller, entrepreneur or industry expert, we help you bring your vision to life. With our exclusive interview, live streaming and podcasting training, you'll gain the skills and confidence to captivate your audience. Our global platform ensures your voice is heard worldwide. Join our community of creators who are already making an impact, one show at a time. Step into the spotlight. Host your own TV show on USA Global TV and Radio. Book your discovery call today at usaglobaltv.com. Copyright 2025 USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. To learn more, visit usaglobaltv.com. Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/usaglobaltv. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.